Hi, welcome back. If you're a Rush fan, we have a rare and exclusive interview with Kit Jarvis, a childhood friend of the late Neil Peart from the band Rush. Kit's going to talk about how he and Neil had the same drum teacher when they were younger, how he saved Neil's life when they were just kids. That's all coming up and much more here on Roy's Studio Adventures.
Kit Jarvis, who is
pleasure
to meet you
Same
as well.
Here.
Who's a friend of the late drummer for Rush, Mr. Neil Peart. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Maybe start with my career. Not a musical career per se. It's more I worked with the federal government for 30 some odd years. But while I was working full time, I did play in say garage bands, if you will.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's when you were younger. That was like 20, 30 years ago or more?
Actually, this is actually later life, Dan. In my younger days, and I'm pretty sure you're probably aware that Neil and I basically took drum lessons, not side by side, but we had the same drumming instructor, Don George.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether Don's still alive or not. He wasn't that much older than we were.
Yeah, so what age would you have been around there?
12, 13. Yeah.
And so you and Neil were kind of both getting into playing drums at that time?
Playing drums, yeah.
Now, can I ask you a question? When he was young like that, do you remember him having exceptional abilities or something different?
Big time, yeah. His very first public appearance, if you will, was with the Eternal Triangle. It was himself, a fellow of Don Brunt and Don Teese. It was a high school talent show. And right then and there, after his performance, because he did a little bit of a solo too,
Yeah.
A friend of mine that I was sitting with, we both looked at each other and said, "He's going places."
You knew it then.
And we weren't the only ones. There was something there.
Yeah, isn't that interesting, eh?
And we weren't the only ones saying it that night. And it was a lot of our classmates.
So you guys would have been around 12, 13.
12, 13 at that time.
Yeah, isn't that it? So he just had that innate talent within him.
It was within him. Exactly, yeah. And his parents nurtured that. They really supported that.
They did.
Needless to say, mine didn't.
Availability of with YouTube and different things. Or some kids that are like 6, 7 years old and they're on a guitar and they're just ripping. I go,
oh yeah,
where did they get that from?
Exactly.
That inner ability just in them. That talent is there. And I was thinking, boy. So I'm thinking back, 12, 13 years old. There's Neil Peart's parents trying to watch All in the Family, and he's down there doing a drum solo or something. And would you stop
on this Red Sparkle Stewart? Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And I did get a chance to play those at least once for a little bit because he as soon as he got them, he gave me a call. Come on over, I got something to show you.
Is that right?
And it was a nice kit.
So he was proud of that.
He was proud of that, yeah. But he didn't have the floor tom at the time. It was just the bass, the tenor, the snare.
Yeah.
The hi-hat and one cymbal, but still, it's wow.
So, and when you guys were at that level where things like that were happening when you were kids, was he a person that would look at you and you're doing some drum stuff and he would be encouraging and encouraging you to
maybe a little wee bit. I think the assumptions were there because I wasn't aware until he actually wrote in the St. Catherine Standard that. Of all the drummers that Don George were teaching, only himself and myself would ever be drummers. So it may have been an assumption in his part too that I was just as good, sort of thing. Maybe I was. I don't know.
Yeah. That's really interesting to go that far back and think that as kids you were kind of cutting chops together. And
yeah, exactly.
That's really neat. You met Neil from just being kids that grew up in Port Dalhousie?
We did, yeah. I went to MacArthur School. That was the corner of Main and Ann Street.
Yeah.
And he was at Gracefield, just down the street, around the corner. A grade 6, I believe, was when we first met.
Is that right?
Yeah. And then...
he always... I didn't know Neil. I never really talked to him, right? But to me, he gave off the aura of being just a real down-to-earth, humble kind of person. Is that...
Even in adult life. Yeah. Humbled, yeah. Very, 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 very intelligent person.
The intelligence level of Neil. You had said something about math. There was a math tester, math exams or something.
Yeah, like I say, he went to school, Edith Cavell School in St. Catharines.
Right.
Well, I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but all the brainiacs at that time.
Yeah.
We're talking back in the 60s.
Okay. Yeah.
The super intelligent kids would go there.
Yeah.
Of course, Neil and a few other people.
Yeah.
And this grade 10, he appeared out of nowhere because I knew he was going there.
Yeah.
But we all studied our heinies off for this one math test.
Yeah.
And we were lucky if we got maybe 60% if he fit. I know he didn't study at all. So I knew he was playing out and probably nothing to do with high school. It was all music.
Yeah.
He waltzes in, does the test, gets about 85%, and didn't even open a book. Like that,
Yeah,
really.
that's
come on, man.
A lot of musicians and drummers especially, there's a very mathematical mindset to drumming, which I get because drummers, like I'm a guitarist, so I tell drummers, listen, I count to 4. That's about all I can do, count to 4. Yeah. I get these guys talking to me about, this is 11/17 time, and then it changes to this whatever. I go, yeah, I can count to 4. So
yeah, you probably hear a lot of the songs, like in Rush songs, and there's all different tempos and different changes and
yeah.
Oh gosh, all over the place.
So you and Neil have kind of lost touch for a while as you got a little older.
We did. The last time I saw Neil, to begin with, okay, I think we're both 21.
Yeah, and
that was just the time where he had auditioned for Rush, but he was still at Dalziel Equipment, St. Catharines, as working behind the counter. That's the last time I saw him, because a couple months after, there he was on stage in was it Cleveland, Ohio, or someplace, for Don Kirshner's rock concert with Rush. So since then, between then and till our early 40s, did we make contact again?
Really? Was there some time when you saved him from drowning or something like that?
Not Martindale Pond. Okay. So tail end, I mentioned Ann Street already. So that's well, Ann Street's down to tail end Ann Street on Lake Ontario.
Okay. Yeah.
Now it was that fateful day. I would have been 11 at the time.
Yeah.
So we would have been 10, somewhere around there. Came back in the early 60s.
Yeah.
He could barely swim, but he was taking lessons from Martha Stewart. Third lamppost, Port Louis on the pier, right? That's third lamppost. Anybody watching this will know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I wasn't doing too bad. At least I could swim. I could do the breaststroke, barely, and float in my back. Yeah. So anyway, it's about mid-July, nice summer day. Thought I'm going down for a swim.
Yeah.
Because out there, about 100 feet out from shore was we called Johnson's Raft. Captain Johnson.
Oh, okay.
One of his boys built it. I can't remember his first name. Anyway.
Yeah. So
it was about maybe 9 feet of water, maybe 10 at tops.
Yeah.
So you had to be able to swim to get to it.
Yeah.
Well, Neil, at the time, thought he would attempt it.
Yep.
And he could do the dog paddle. I knew that.
Okay.
So this is before I got there, right? On scene, if you will.
Yeah.
So he dog paddled out. Of course, the 3 bullies that were on the raft wouldn't let him on.
Really?
So he basically was starting to drown because here's where I come in. I come out. I could see the 3 guys. I don't know who it was. So I was going to see who's on the raft. That was maybe friends of mine, which later it wasn't, because I'll get that in just a second. But swimming out, I see the swimmer coming towards me. Yeah. Water splashing and arms just waving.
Yeah.
Didn't know what time, so we're almost face to face. I'm even closer than we are right now.
Yeah.
And it was Neil.
Yeah.
Of course, in a drowning mode.
Oh boy.
He's pushing me under.
Oh.
Right. So basically, I was just past third sandbar. The water was about maybe 7 feet deep, but still enough that you could drown. And was over our heads because we were about yay high to a grasshopper.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So somehow I managed to get him on my shoulders. I had one big breath of air, maybe 2, and down I went. So we're walking along. Okay, got the third sandbar. At least it was not too bad. It's enough time to get up a quick puff of air. Down I go again. He's still flailing away and pushing me down.
Oh boy!
And we're going towards second sandbar. Of course, the water's going to get a little bit deep again.
Yeah,
just kept going. Someone managed to get another breath of air.
Yeah.
Of course, down I go again. He's pushing me down again.
Wow.
And we come up to the first sandbar. So now we're up to about here now. So now you can actually stand up
Yeah.
and whatnot. He's kind of still flailing away,
Yeah.
not realizing that we're things are going to be okay. And somewhere along the line, he blacked out. And
Really?
I don't remember that. But
Yeah.
I guess apparently, and you read it in some of his readings or writings.
So he wrote about that.
He wrote about that, yeah. At St. Catharines Spectrum years later.
Okay.
And of course,
so he mentioned you in there. He mentioned that story in the book.
He mentions the story in the book,
Wow,
and
cool.
the newspaper article.
Yeah.
And so coming between, I guess maybe between first sandbar and shore, because the wire goes down a little bit more, but it's up to your belly, basically.
Yeah.
He must have blacked out then. I don't know, because apparently he did. Before I got to shore, between first sandbar and the shore, there was Margaret Clark. She's mentioned here as well. So Margaret helped pull him out of the water.
Yeah.
And I guess he came to, and then we didn't see him. Because of course, as soon as he came to, we didn't see him for dust. He just took off like a jackrabbit. Choo!
Really?
But apparently, and he's wrote about it in here.
Yeah.
That he's never forgotten that.
Really?
That was like a life-changing situation. In one of my letters in here, personal correspondence, he mentions that too. That I didn't realize that was you were part of the drowning as well, because I was pushing you down too. So
I wonder if he ever wrote a song about that. I wonder.
That's a good question. There's one of the people on Facebook had mentioned one of his songs. There's a lyric in there.
Yeah.
I can't remember the song.
Right.
To be honest with you, but he swears up and down that he was writing about me at that time.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
And how did you get back in touch with Neil?
Okay. I wrote to Neil through a newspaper article that appeared in the St. Catharines Standard. I think it was about 90, maybe 94. The Spectrum, a Pork Boy story, which you can find. He mentions it in here, but he mentions it also. You can find it on the internet.
Right.
It's a good read as well.
Okay.
His trials and tribulations growing up in Port, and then after that. So he responded, because I wrote to him through the Standard. Was this Brian? He's playing with J.R. Flood at the time.
Okay. Yep.
It was the guitarist who was also he was working for the Standard.
Brian Johnson.
Is it Brian? Okay.
Yeah.
I remember Brian, the first name.
Yep.
So I wrote to him. So can I send you a letter? I said, Neil's wrote about me. He says, yeah, sure, send it.
Yeah.
I said, by all means, open it, see what I'm saying. No, I'll send it just like it is.
Yeah.
And of course, about 2 or 3 months later, he responded, which was nice. So
wow.
a lot of our correspondence in the last couple years, I'm looking at 96, 95, December.
So these are correspondence from
Neil. Yeah.
Wow. You mind if I have a look at
some of this?
Dear Kit, while I have a minute, I wanted to send you a note just to make sure we keep in touch a little bit. For the next couple of months, I'll be hanging out here as we continue to work on a new Rush album. Wow. That is really something.
No,
these are like, that's incredible. That's all
the original letters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I just held on to. We resurfaced again back in 2011 at the Time Machine Tour.
So that says,
that's what,
I don't know if you can see it on camera. It says, to Kit, thank you so much for saving my life. Doesn't get much more personal than that. Thank you for saving my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really something.
And that's my treasure right there.
I'll bet. Yeah.
In appreciation, again, it's in here. He sent me the kit that he used in the recording sessions.
Yeah.
Recording for Buddy sessions.
That. Yep.
Yeah. 1, 2, and 3.
And that's on the back of a Heritage
auctions.
magazine. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, I don't have those anymore because I hadn't played them for 20 years.
Yeah.
I wanted to pay it forward to a deserving Neil Peart fan.
Okay.
And that's where they are right now. It's a Facebook friend of mine.
So how did you end up getting this drum kit?
These were sent in appreciation for saving his life. Which he really didn't have to do. No, and I say that in all honesty, he didn't have to do that at all.
No.
And it was a nice surprise it was a Christmas present back in 95.
Really?
Yeah.
In 95.
In 95.
And so he used, what did he use that drum kit for?
It was the Burning for Buddy sessions for making the CDs or the.
Yeah.
I still got the original cassette tape at home.
Really?
I sent the CD on with the kit for the friend of mine that you would appreciate.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. He valued your relationship very highly, or else.
Later in life, I really didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Maybe Anyway, to answer this day too, I don't really realize that. It really hasn't, because I see Neil, in all honesty, as just my friend next door. How are they hanging? Let's go grab a pizza or a beer, whatever.
Yeah.
I know he's done quite well for himself. He's international artist, and
Yeah.
and a lot of people just go nuts. Like they go crazy.
Seems to me from what you've described that he really valued people connections, right?
He valued people connections,
Yeah.
correct. And those connections were few and far between.
Is that right?
He writes about, in one of my letters, he wrote about that. He just, I was one of the very few that like I said, I knew it. Like, he was an international star. I never asked him for tickets, but people would ask me, give Neil a show and see if you can give me some free concert tickets. So no, I don't think so. You're probably going to ask me to reconnect after this. Well, first of all, Selena unfortunately was killed in that auto accident in August of '97, I believe it was.
And Neil, that was his
daughter.
His daughter,
from Jacqueline.
Right.
Because if you look at some of the dates, he wrote maybe every 6, maybe every 7 months. So no, we're very super busy.
Right.
So the very last letter I sent out was April of '96, because at that time I was still an employment counselor, and I was sending Selena to his business address. Just basic career information, because she didn't know what she wanted it to be.
Yep.
I don't think she wanted to be a musician per se.
Yeah.
Not like Olivia is right now. His second daughter.
How old was his daughter when she passed?
18, 19, I believe.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I remember that day that happened. I just, what the heck? Yeah, I was kind of shocked.
And was it after that you reconnected with him?
2011.
Yeah. Right.
And because they were coming to, where do we go here? That's part of my swag bag.
Yeah.
The Time Machine tour. I wrote to him through the Rush organization, and it was my youngest son. This is December 11th, 2010.
Yeah.
He started making emails and stuff to what's his name again? It's Michael Morbash. I think he's just the guy that rode with him too on his motorcycle tours and stuff.
Okay.
Michael Mosbach, Rush Tour Security.
Wow.
So again, long story short, here we went to see. I got tickets. That was, what did I say? December. Yeah. So December 2010 to see Rush in Hamilton in April 2011. And we got tickets for the Bob Euchre seats. We were way the heck up, right? Well, what had happened and what Neil had done is that he got a hold of that letter through Michael.
Yep.
Front row seats. Say, I kept some of this. Is memorabilia. So there we go. There's the guest there as well. And I was. Where's the centerfold here?
Wow.
I was 5th row back.
Oh boy.
So there's Neil there.
Yeah.
So I'm 1, 2. I'm not in this before. I think I would have been roughly. I think that was taken in Cleveland.
Really?
But I'm the 5th row right there. So he's looking at me all the time. We're playing.
So you kind of made eye contact with him.
It was nice.
Yeah. Wow. At that show there, did you get a chance to talk with Neil one-on-one? Or?
I did. Yes. He wanted to see me in between sets. Usually
Really?
It's after that. So and Michael said this is rare for Neil to do this.
Wow.
And so back we went, and we sort of reminisced after 40 years. It was our 40th anniversary before the R40 tour.
Wow.
Kit and Neil.
Yeah.
And it was nice. We talked a little bit about music, a little bit about Port.
Yeah.
It was brief, so we could have spent hours, but we had just enough time to
that's really cool.
Back on stage you went. This friend next to me said "Oh, you're Kit Jarvis."
Yeah.
I says, "Well, yeah." Well, within earshot, everybody around me was looking at me, and he's flying low. So I thought, okay, I guess they knew the name. That's not my ego talking. I thought, what do they do?
Yeah.
And I kind of realized, okay, well, they've read traveling music, and they knew who Kit Jarvis was. I guess whatever they read.
Thank you so much. I feel really honored and really, really neat to sit here with you and
Thank you.
feel the personal connection with that. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, folks. I hope you really enjoyed this Talk of the Town edition of Roy's Studio Adventures. Have a great day, everyone.
Peace.
Well, that wraps up another exciting episode of Talk of the Town. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please share, subscribe, and smash that like button. If you have an idea for a Talk of the Town episode, send your submission to the email address below. For Roy's Studio Adventures, I'm Chris Hall. Thanks for watching.